All right, so this video is going to help you with the Classkick assignment for today. It's called the simple and compound interest word problems. This is going to help you with the quiz tomorrow. So I'm going to go over these problems with you. All right, so it's going to be handy. Make sure you have Desmos calculator up and the word wall with the interest. Scroll down to Unit 8, Personal Financial Literacy. So scroll down to this part right here where it says investing and borrowing right here. So this, to get to this, is on the daily agenda and the announcements. It's under word wall, so it should be on the announcements. All right, so let's get back to the here. All right, so this one says Maribel deposited $1,500 in a new account at her bank. The bank pays 4.5% annual simple interest on this account. Maribel did not make any additional deposits or withdrawals. How much interest did Maribel make after 5 years? All right, so the first thing you want to ask yourself is how many separate accounts are there? So sometimes in some problems, there's just one where you're just going to deal with one formula or one account, one person, and then there, you're done. Or there's going to be questions where you're comparing certain accounts or certain banks. So you want to pay close attention to make sure that and see if each question is going to have two different sets of interest formulas. Now this one right here is just one. So how do we know that? Because we're only talking about Maribel. She deposited $1,500. We're not talking about anybody else. It's just Maribel and the account that she's opening. We're not comparing it. We're just finding how much interest Maribel made. So this question is all about Maribel, not comparing it to anything. So pay close attention to how many different scenarios are in each question. All right, the second thing you want to ask yourself is, okay, am I dealing with simple interest or compound interest? And it will explicitly tell you in the problem. So you have to read through, look for the word simple, and look for the word compounds or compounded. So Maribel deposited $1,500 in your new account at the bank. The bank pays 4.7, blah, blah, simple interest. Here we go, simple. There's that word, simple interest. So that means we're going to be using the simple interest rate formula. Let me pull this up. Kind of hard to see on here. We're going to be dealing with this interest. This is the word wall. I just printed it out. We're going to be dealing with I equals PRT. So don't even pay attention to the compound interest formula. In this scenario, you won't even look at this formula. You're only looking at I equals PRT. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to write that down on our paper, I equals PRT, because that's what we're going to be working with. So now, next step is we want to try to fill in those variables and find out what the question is actually asking for. So we're going to have I equals something, P equals something, R equals something, and T equals something. So we go in and identify. So don't forget, if you're still having problems identifying what variable goes with what number goes with what variable, pay attention to the word wall. So words such as, ask yourself, is it an investing problem? Is it a borrowing problem? And this will help you identify the variables for you. So make sure you pull that up and look for those keywords. Okay, so back to interest. Okay, so interest is what we're looking for. How do we know that? Because that's what the question is explicitly asking. How much interest did Maribel make after 5 years? So our I is going to have the question mark. Principal. All right, so we're dealing with, and let's ask ourselves, are we dealing with an investment problem or borrowing problem? We're dealing with an investment problem because we are opening a new account. And deposit is our keyword. So if we deposited, that we're investing. Deposit money into an account is an investment. How much did we deposit? $1,500. So our P is going to be $1,500. Rate. The bank pays 4.5%. 4.5%. Whichever number has the percent symbol or it might say percent. I think in most cases it'll just have the percent symbol. That's the number you're going to use for R. R is always the number with percent. Now, you're not going to just write in 4.5. Remember, 4.5, whenever you see that percent sign, you have to move the decimal point over. Even though there already is a decimal, it's still in percent form. You have to move it over 2 times. So we're going to move it over 1, 2, and we get 0.045. So 0.045 is going to be the R. The T is how much interest to bear on the bank after 5 years. So our T is going to be 5 years. It's not in months, it's in years, so we can leave that as 5. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Desmos. And we're going to type that in. Or actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. We want to write out the equation. So now we identified the variables. So now we're looking for I. We're going to write I, because that's the variable we're looking for. Our P, we said, is 1,500. So 1,500 times the rate, 0.045, times the T, 5. So let's go back here, and we're going to type in, open parentheses, 1,500, close parentheses, open parentheses, 0.045. Don't forget to move your decimal. Open parentheses, and it's 5 years. So we get, on the calculator, I is equal to 337.5, and change it to 0.50 and $sign. All right, so the interest is the I interest is 337.50. Do we have that as an answer choice? Yes, we do. So it's D. Notice, since it's asking for interest, we don't have to add or subtract anything else. Let me pull up. So I wrote down 337.50. That's our interest. So the answer is D. So notice we don't have to do anything else because we already found the I. So simple interest, I is the very first part of the equation. So 337.550. All right, let's take a look at the second one. All right, so let's just scan. What I like to do is I just scan through it kind of. So an employee, put more. Oh, here's the word compounded. Employee makes no additional deposit withdrawals. Which amount is closest to the interest? Closest to the interest. So it looks like they're asking for interest. We're dealing with compounded. The employee will have earned at the end of 12 years. Okay, so it looks like we're just dealing with one scenario. So that's good. Less work. And it looks like we're dealing with compounding. So that means, taking a look at this, we're dealing with the compound interest formula. So we're not even going to pay attention to the simple interest formula. We're dealing with compound now. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. A equals P, open parentheses, 1 plus R, close parentheses, to the power of T. All right, so now we need to fill in what we know. Remember, A means all. A is the total balance already. Simple interest doesn't give you that luxury, but compound interest does. So you have to be careful what the question's asking for. So this is total balance already. So that means A equals principal plus interest already. All right, so now let's fill in. So A is what we're going to look for because we need to find the total in order to find the interest. We don't have I. We're looking for interest, but we don't have I in this equation. That's okay. I is integrated within the A, all. So that just means we're going to have to do some subtraction a little bit later. So A is what we're looking for, all, because we have to find principal and interest together. Our P, R, and T. All right, our principal. So we're dealing with a retirement account. Put, so if we put money, so that's an investment. So 10,000 is going to be our principal. Our rate, we have 4%. But we're going to, since it's in percent form, we're going to move that decimal point over 2 times and get 0.04. Our T is telling us 12 years. All right, so now we write that in. A equals our P of 10,000. And when you're typing this on Desmos, don't type in the comma. You don't need commas. 10,000, open 1 plus 0.04 to the power of 12. So I'm going to move over to the calculator. Clear that. All right, so we get 10,000, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.04, close parentheses. We'll click this a squared to the power. It gives us second squared automatically, so we'll just have to click in front of it, backspace, and put 12. And we get $16,010.32. So that's what A equals. So A equals 16,010.32. All right, so let me go back to my screen. Okay, so A equals 16,010.32 is what we got in the calculator. However, this A, remember A includes principal plus interest. So that's the total balance. That's the new balance. So if we're looking, pay attention to what the question is asking for. Which amount is closest to the interest? It's asking for the interest. So that means if we're given principal plus interest, we know the principal plus interest, but we don't know the interest. However, we know the principal. So what we can do is we can take that 16,010 and subtract the principal from it, which is 10,000, to get just the interest. And with that, you should get 6,010.32, which is going to be C. So be careful when computing with compounds and dealing with just finding the interest problem. This is how you'll do it. You'll have to subtract the principal from the A. All right, let's move on to 3. All right, so I'm just going to scan through it, read it, and scan through it. And that's when I started college fund. She deposited 4,500 investment account. All right, so it looks like we're dealing with an investment problem. Here we go, compounded. Okay, so how much interest? Okay, so it looks like we're dealing with one scenario. And we're dealing with compounded. So I'm going to go ahead and write in A equals P times 1 plus R to the T. All right, of course, we're looking for A. So we have A, P, R, T. A is what we're looking for. We have to find the total first. We want to find the interest. Our P, so deposited, so P is going to be our 4,500. Our R, remember, is expressed as a percent. However, we need to move that decimal point over 2 times and get 0.075. Our time in years. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. Now it wants to know how much interest will be made when she turns 18. Now I know you might want to go and put 18 years, but she started it on her 3rd birthday. So you would have to take 18 minus 3 and get 15. So this account lasted for 15 years. So our T is going to be 15. All right, now we can fill in for our equation. So A equals 4,500 1 plus the rate, which is 0.075 to the power of 15. So let's go to Desmos. So 4,500, open. Yeah, 1 plus 0.075, close to the power of 15. We get 13,314, so A equals 13. Go back to my screen. Oh, wait, let me write it first. 13,314.95, rounded 2 decimal spaces. All right, so 13. So that's our A. That's our total principal and interest. Now the question is asking for how much interest would have been made when Emma turns 18. So just like the last problem, we're going to subtract the principal from this. So the principal, so the total amount with principal and interest minus the principal of 4,500. So let's go back to Desmos. And that was 13,314. Oops. 0.95 minus the 4,500 principal to get just the interest. We get 8814. .95. So let's go back to the video. Okay, how much interest was made when she turns 18? All right, so this is asking, are you solving for the total in the account or only the interest? We're solving for just the interest because that's all it's asking for. Total would be principal plus interest. What operation do you need to use after you find A? Well, what operation do we use right here? We use subtraction, so it would be subtraction. .8814, that's not an answer choice. This might be the one that was wrong. Let me see. Oh yeah, this isn't the updated one. So yeah, that's supposed to be 8814.95. So it would be C on the Classkick. So that would be it. So remember, if you're using compound and it's asking for interest, you have to find what A equals, but subtract the principal. It's very important that you remember to subtract the principal. All right, let's move to number 4. Okay, so this one says, okay, so what is the interest earned? Interest earned, so it looks like we're going to be looking for I, interest, for a deposit of 5,000 compounded. Okay, we're dealing with compounded, so we're not even going to deal with I equals PRT. Forget it. We're going to be dealing with A equals P times 1 plus R to the T power. Annually at interest rate of 4% for 20 years. Okay, so we want to know the interest. So this is, again, we're going to have to find A first, but then find the interest. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and write this in for time purposes. So A equals the principal, deposit, dealing with investment, so 5,000. Ones are constant, stays there. 4%, you'll express as 0.04. Close parentheses, the power of 20. So 20 years. That's going to get us our principal and interest. Remember, A equals all principal plus interest. Let's go to Desmos. Oops. All right, 5,000. Open parentheses, 1 plus 0.04. Close parentheses to the power of 20, right? Yeah, 20. We get 10.95. So A equals 10.62. That's what it rounds to. Okay, so I have it right here, 10,955.62. Okay, now that's principal and interest. So remember, to find just the interest, we subtract the principal of 5,000. So minus 5,000. So let's go back to Desmos. We'll take this answer. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Clear all. Minus the principal of 5,000. We get 59.55. 59.55.62. Let's go back to here. So that means A is going to be our answer, 59.55.62. All right, so we'll move on to the next one, number 5. All right, Donnie the Dot Dude, the name. Okay, Donnie the Dot Dude is saving for a llama. He puts $3,000 in a savings. Oh, look, there's our principal account that earns 12% simple. Ooh, simple. So now we're going to be dealing with I equals PRT, not compound, not that formula. Simple interest. How many years will it take for him to have total of 4,440 if he makes no additional deposits or withdrawal? Okay, so first step, set up I equals PRT. We need to identify our I, P, R, and T. I is what we're looking for. Or no, I'm sorry. How many years? So what's the question asking? How many years? So that means there's going to be a question mark on our T. So now we need to look and fill in everything else. So he puts 3,000 in savings, so 3,000 is going to be the principal. 12% interest. Remember 12. I'm going to move it 2 decimal spaces over to the right, or left, I'm sorry. 0.12, so that's going to be 0.12. How many years will it take for him to have the 4440? All right, so the 4440 is what he needs, and they're expressing that as the final balance. So that means in order to get just the interest, we need to fill in our interest. So we would take 4400 or 4440, subtract the principal, and that's what's going to be our interest amount. And you should get 1440 for the interest. So we can go ahead and fill that in. All right, so now we can fill in. So instead of writing I equals, and then we fill in this, we're going to fill in 1440 for the I. I'm going to write it down here. So 1440 is equal to, because usually it's I equals, but we're filling this in for the I. So 1440 equals the principal, which is 3,000, times the rate, which is 0.12, times the time, which we don't know, so we're going to express as t, the variable t. All right, since all 3 of these are multiplied together, we can multiply these 2 together. And at this point, I'm just going to use my calculator. You guys should know how to use Desmos by now. All right, so 3,000 times 0.12, I get 360. So we're going to rewrite this as 1440 equals 360, because that's what 3,000 times 0.12 is. We still have that t, so we have to multiply our new number by t. We can write that as a coefficient. Now, 360 times t, inverse operations division. To get t by itself, we're going to divide by 360 on both sides. So now we have 1440 divided by 360, and I get 4. So it's going to be 4 years. So that's how you find a variable other than just interest. All right, taking a look at number 6. All right, Darius the dude is taking out $10,000 loan, so we're dealing with a loan borrowing question to buy a car. He has choices for the loan. Okay, so now we have to deal with choices. So there are 5-year loans at 3% simple interest. Okay, look, both are simple. So we'll go ahead and write this in. So we have loan number 1 and loan number 2. So we're going to have separate columns, I, P, R, T equals I equals P, R, R equals T equals. All right, so let's do the first one. So loan 1, so he needs $10,000, so 10,000 is going to be the principal for both, because he has one fixed amount that he needs to borrow, and he's shopping around. All right, so his choices of the loan are 5-year loan. So let's go ahead and write in 5 years for loan 1 at 3%. It's going to be 0.03 simple interest, or a 6-year loan. So we'll write 6 over here at 4%, so 0.04. So now we need to find the interest for both of them. Now the question is asking, what is the difference in the amount of interest? Difference in the amount of interest. So that means we need to find the interest of loan 1, interest of loan 2, and then subtract those, and that's what our answer is going to be. So let's take a look at this one. So this one's going to be 10,000, 0.03 times 5. And this one is going to be 10,000 times 0.04 times 6. Type these in. Times 0.03. It's very important that you write everything down and then type it onto your calculator. You'll have less mistakes that way. 10,000 times 0.03 times 5. I got 1,500 for this one. And then for this one, times 0.04 times 6. This one I got 2,400. So it wants the difference, so we're going to take 2,400 and subtract 1,500 from it. So 2,400 minus 15, you should get $900. Double check that. Yep, 900. So that's number 6. All right, number 7. All right, over 6 years, how much more will a savings account with simple interest? Okay, simple interest, 3.8 yield earnings and savings account with a simple. Okay, so we're gonna have two separate scenarios this time. Both of them are simple, so both of them are gonna be. So I'll set up one over here, I equals PRT, and one over here, I equals PRT. Now you're probably getting thrown off by this quarter, 1/4. So if you have to, type that in on a calculator, 1 divided by 4, you should get 0.25. Now, to turn it into a decimal, when we have this whole number here, you're going to add it to 0.25. Because when I say 3 1/4, I say 3 and. And implies adding. So we're going to add 3 to point. So we get 3 as the whole number. We get 0.25 as the decimal. Add those together, you get 3.25. So 1/4, or excuse me, 3 1/4 equals 3.25. All right, so original balance was 4. Okay. So how much more will a savings account? Okay. All right, so let's set up this one. I equals P equals R equals T equals I equals P equals R equals T equals. All right, so we're trying to find the interest. Okay, so interest is what we're looking for on both of them. P, 4,100 for both because they're both 4,100. So go ahead and write that in. The rate on one is 3.8, but remember we're gonna have to convert it. It's percent, so it's gonna be 0.038 time over 6 years. 6. So this is going to be 6. However, this one's going to be 3.25 or 0.0325 is what we're going to write it in as. All right, so you should know how to set this up. So I'm going to go ahead and just type them in on the calculator. So for I on this one, I get 934.80. So you should know how to type this in on Desmos. 934.80. On this one, I get I equals 799.50. All right. That's that. Okay, so it says how much total money will the account with the 3.8% earn? So the account with 3.8%, that's this first one right here. So it wants to know the total. So you take the 934.80 and then add the principal. And you get 5,034.80. What is 3 1/4 as a decimal? We just did that, 3.25. How much total money will the account with 3 1/4% earn? So how much more will it earn? I think this one. Okay, so this one will probably throw you off. I haven't changed this paper yet, but on Classkick it should say what is the interest. So we're looking for the interest. So the interest for 3 1/4, which is right here, we got $799.50. So $799.50. How much more money is earned by the first account? So what you do is you take the total of the first one and subtract the total of the second one. So the second one is going to be 4,100. I'll write it down here, 4,100 plus 799.50. which is 48. 48.9950. So 5034, so 5034.80 minus 4899.50, you get 135.30. So that's the answer for that one. How much more money is earned in the first account? So how much more is indicating, so you're going to subtract. So how much more? So how much more of this from this? So that indicates subtraction. That one's $7.99, 3.25. Box of my answers so you're not confused. Okay, so I'm running out of time. I'm just going to show you number 8. So you can pause the video if you need to. Can't really there's a glare on it from the light, but you can kind of see the work. So there's 2 different scenarios. You're dealing with simple and compound. You're going to set up the equation for this one as so. Compounded is going to be separate. She doesn't make any difference. What is the total balance of these 2 accounts? So it's asking for the total balance. So that means on the first one, I equals PRT, you have to find the interest. Remember, you just find the interest. So interest plus, but you have to go back and add the principal. So you get 340. So look, so down here, you add 300 plus the 4050 in interest. And then the A, remember the A already includes the total. So you don't have to add anything else. It's just those 2, principal, interest, plus the A. And then you add both of those counts together, and that's what it's asking for. Go ahead and show you number 9. You can pause and take a look at the work. So again, 2 different scenarios. Simple, compounded, so I did the simple interest formula. This one I did compound. What will his total balance of these? So again, you're looking for the balance of both accounts. So right over here, I wrote in the total of A, so this is A from the first account. The 8640 was the interest from the other account because you have 2 different equations for 2 different scenarios. And then this is the principal from the first one. All right, so there's 9. And it's wrong on here. So, but you should get 1405.39. All right, and here's number 10. You can pause the video. This is 31.99, kind of hard to see. 31.91. Sorry, 31.91. So we're dealing with Alex and Anna. So with Alex, you're doing simple. With Anna, same thing, same concept. You're using principal. All right. So that should be the end of that.